Hello, America. Congressman Schiff is recorded using these proceedings to establish truths that are not true, that he knows are not true. Lord, for example, he pretends to perceive that his witnesses have no motivations to lie when that's untrue. They have uses of identity, the ground locations shared by nations who don't like each other, but they use them the same criminal ways to hide their integrity of their titles and legal identities, fact treatments, and sequence racketeering roles self-valuing more and more criminally foreign influenced database relationships, private intersciences, and each identity of the ground used originally and still for a racketeering method that keeps live aggressions from those locations, that uses the identities of campuses from off them on off them further in relationship to people's sense and sensibilities, where everyone stays victim predators, making opinions, using criminally foreign influence sciences, quality of fact treatment, justifications, roles with standards and precedents recorded originally and still effectively, sickly, overt, systemically criminally foreign influenced, delusions wrought. Now they know right through administration, since before the Obama administration, since before the Clinton administration, since before the Bush administrations, right through, we've had Connecticut campuses of each age and fact treatment nature. A whole bunch of people with Central Connecticut State University involved with racketeering with child campuses intercity. Not by accident, they're involved with training educational departments, all natures of positions. Now, by accident, they're involved with training the leaderships of prisons, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with racketeering with them. A whole bunch of people tied to and then they pretend it's personal. It's nothing personal. He's a victim, but a victim predator. Mr. Hernandez, uses of the his roles with a with a Simi Vega. Simi Vega is recorded, confessed, and demonstrated with a whole bunch of people tied to CCSU, also involved with racketeering. He doesn't even, I don't know if he knows them or not, but they're involved with racketeering together. Former director of the FBI's co-defendants, Robert Luskin, leading up to and in the Trade Center attack context, leading up to and in a 2006 case. And since they've been involved with racketeering acts against me and others together with houses in my area, associated with them with racketeering of juxtaposed natures at CCSU through time, involved with child campuses in my area. Also, their involvements with Russians and stuff like that, with corners of the streets, both corners of the principal sex offenders high school, both corners of Highcrest Street, all along Two Rod Highway there. You know, all the corners at Highcrest, but at the one at the end with Two Rod and Highway, and the other far end. What is it? In other words, they're recorded, confessed through time, involved with racketeering with that, because these are people these are people with sequence shifts, live aggressions. Their roles with racketeering, where they use the time always too fast, too slow to get over on what is really true always, not denying exceptions. What is really the whole truth and nothing but the truth, which is not denying exceptions, which is not valuing exceptions denied, which is not valuing exception nature denied. See, this is why this simple action, this is how logic with no criminal foreign influences thinks. It uses what is true always, not denying exceptions. So this has been prevented free speech since founding in relationship to laws that used color to keep anyone, no matter who you are, from speaking what is native pure. This identity of logic we are as value, as a species, individual, grouped, and together. These are three natures of volume. that are distinctly, non-distinctly, and are simultaneously valued to themselves, and by what is an identity of sequence nature that is making more identities of sequence nature per the way it is per science, the way it is distinctly, non-distinctly, and simultaneously onto its semi-natures of volume, which is inherent, active, and progressive. The more and more it becomes distinctly onto them, simultaneously, non-distinctly, and simultaneously, the more and more individual identities of value / value progression are being created. This is where life came from. See, that's debatable. But see, we have things that are debatable that are not debatable. The only reason they're debatable is because we have the identities of each science, the identities of the campuses they are upon, the identities of the database relationships they are connected to, the identities of the libogressions from those databases originally instill self-value, roles with means, needs, and natures, needing to hide those libogressions. With the perfect world, within as the perfect world, worse than forsaken, consciously. Now, the perfect world is a phrase recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with interbranch racketeering, as their roles also pretending to be about integrity, pretending to be about the truth, pretending that witnesses aren't criminally foreign influenced as they are recorded, criminally foreign influenced in delusions raw. The witnesses on all sides, fake sides of correlation nature with just entertaining their sequence racketeering. They have been preventing mandated law. Many people tied to Mr. Schiff and to Nancy Pelosi. We have women interbranch Connecticut recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved self-valued roles with child sex offenders. They want to debate that out of sequence so they can pretend passions and emotions, so they could keep exploiting falsified police reports they have roles with, and database racketeering they have roles with since they were little kids. Actually, that's what's actually recorded. The Britain Superior Court has dozens of people. All those positions conform to racketeering, used worse than racketeering, worse than war crimes, originally and still, used to hide their libogressions, used to hide what keeps each identity of the ground location used remotely by what is fluent through our nations. We have fire departments. Also, we have all the identity of the ground locations. Connecticut boxing gyms also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with racketeering with the Justice Department through, and with military, and with campuses through Sammy Vega, through people associated with him. People associated with the San Juan Center recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with two or three Mayano brothers and their family. Also involved with houses in my area with racketeering with child sex offenders, with the extended family members of the ones tied to them. Also has people involved with them, with prosecutors, male and female, with racketeering since they were kids. Identity thefts, frauds, evidence racketeering, wire crimes, mail crimes. They use crime methods in the New Britain Superior Court and other courts where they forge names and switch names. They prevent people free speech. They prevent people from knowing what they're getting charged with by falsifying police reports, putting a charge but putting no evidences with it, and preventing demonstrations of actually recorded them with those same crimes first, and lying about the responses to it. Attaching kids and their families to fake words, fake ties to other people, fake relationships to other people, fake locations. Media does this multi-front with the court. They did this before the Trump administration, right through both administrations of the Obama administration. This is his military, criminally foreign influence. This is the Biden military, criminally foreign influence with Ukraine social places, like their cultural locations on and off, associated with on and off UPS with many people retired and standing, recorded and involved with racketeering with them with drugs, with mail crimes, shipping crimes, with crimes as the people involved with racketeering on and off CCSU, on and off Trinity College, on and off child campuses like the principal sex offenders campus, further involved with the Joshua Julian, further involved with the Joshua Stryker, involved with deans, forging names, switching names, their family members, their colleagues invested further and further. Racketeering where they're making allegations against innocent people and students to hide their roles with state police families, to hide their roles with FBI families, to hide their roles with other nations, criminally foreign influence, covering up their racketeering acts, roles, and uses of databases with those college students. They already had them involved with racketeering on and off their grammar schools. These are uses of all identity of the ground locations, where each identity grouped each difference, like male, female. Those are value treatments, body of value treatments. Per nature can't help it. This is nature's course with uses of this. This is why we are fact cheap nature we are the way we are actually. So Mr. Schiff is pretending that he doesn't realize the influences over and the racketeering uses of and the indifference of the racketeering uses of his witnesses, people that claim to be on his side or not. Like in other words, those fake sides, democracy, Democrats, and Republicans. They're recorded involved with this racketeering method /S with fire departments, with the Weathersfield town offices, with military, a whole bunch of military families. They want to pretend, they want to start fights with people. Oh, how could you knock a service person? They brought it up. They didn't. They brought him into their sequence shifts. Their sources. They brought him into the racketeering with Ukrainian families that are involved with UPS, with an Oliveri family, with a whole bunch of people, with a Fianza family, with these Joshua Stryker, Joshua Julian further involved, racketeering on off the state judicial branch offices with this Joshua Julian, with a DeMora family, whole bunch of people involved with racketeering acts and uses of Trinity College, of CCSU, with the DeMora family, with these judges, with them retiring and standing. A Delaferra family also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with the racketeering with AT&T in my area through time, and then with the FBI and CIA, their uses of their identity of the ground locations were used for racketeering. Way worse than racketeering, way worse than war crimes. The coaches, the judges, the prosecutors, and the police firms are coaching people to make opinions and to use aggression against people trying to report acts online, even child sex offender acts. Even uses of their Facebook pages, interbranch and intercampus is recorded and involved with them. With doctors also, foreign and domestic, involved with racketeering with their worst patients and criminals before they caught, even sexual. Now they're falsifying names and using titles to pretend other. So get them to one name in sequence. They're switching names too. Now that creates time delays. You can't call on the phone and get a response because they're lying about what is recorded. They're lying about what is actually recorded in life through the mail. These are racketeering acts. These are racketeering acts intercities and worse than interstates, but also Washington, D.C., also World Trade Center attack contacts in out of the Ninth Circuit Court. Further racketeering associated with the proven sequence shift they presented to the Ninth Circuit right before the World Trade Center attack from inside the Ninth Circuit. They had post-dated papers that had been handed into the court on time stamped on time. Then instead, from inside the court, they post-dated him to appear late to the panel of judges. That proven led up to a 2006 district court case in Connecticut. That was in Manhattan. And this is already, they had Washington, D.C. involved. Those are also people who are involved with Washington, D.C. with male and female doctors of psychology from my town I never had a personal conversation with, who are recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with all kinds of database racketeering and verbal racketeering and uses of other people's identities to hide their roles with the racketeering. Now I don't even know all their names. Now these are people through time involved inter the identities of the sciences in such a way to perpetually exploit the identity of the sciences share actually, to perpetually exploit them pretending to be integrity when they can't be, having exploited that, not by accident. A whole bunch of people with various natures of the department at CCSU are recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with racketeering with the Maiano family, with the CM Faglione family, with Brian Silver, with a Leahy family, with others from my town I don't know the names of, I don't know either. Like a Brian Silver, I never had a conversation with Brian Silver in my life. He's one of the retired and standing prosecutors, male and female, Christine Bedard, her family, Bedard family, also her who she married into, and her past boyfriend, or if it was her boyfriend or not, went to the prom with her, per them, John Mayano. His family recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with the racketeering with my new and past neighbors, with the Dillon family, with my new and past neighbors, with further roles with his extended family members, with whole sequence shifts. I never met the John Mayano till my class graduated. I stayed back. That reason I stayed back was because of the one class, a lady with all kinds of racketeering with a Spada family and with judges with them. A lady who was a doctor of psychology I never had a conversation with. She just happened to be my speech teacher. Involved with a whole bunch of people with a Pandolf family, also involved with racketeering leading up to that and since with them on and off campuses, with depositions they used criminally, his roles with wire crimes, with mail crime roles, his roles with depositions criminally, used criminally, fake sides of body of value treatments, also that, where they have problems between people and they use that to make people defend their takes on what happened. But what happened is only used to invest them to fake sides where they're all telling lies in relationship to other types of lies they need to establish criminally with areas because they've already been lying criminally in cases. They already used their locations and their identities of titles of jobs and everything to hide to hide what they have to keep hiding life progressions individually grouped and together. So we have originally and still worse than elections racketeering with the people pretending to be against that. Mr. Schiff is recorded, confessed, and demonstrating having been using his witnesses, his pretended care for the for the guy with the little letter he wrote about being an American, the Marines guy. They're also retired and standing Marines, people dishonorably discharged from the Marines, with the rest of the Marines further involved with racketeering with Air Force, Army, Coast Guard, further involved with racketeering with child sex offenders, further involved with racketeering with interbranch Facebook pages used to force such not told on, as the people pretending to be about credibility, pretending to be worthy of their titles. Every day they go to court, they can't go to court anymore. We need federal stewardships of Connecticut. And not, in other words, we need I have the rights to the Attorney General now too, because the FBI didn't help. And they also furthered racketeering acts with overt criminal enterprises. And the Witness Protection Program stewards also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with roles with the same criminal enterprise. It is the distinct criminal enterprises with timed racketeering acts on my street and online with them, uses of houses in my area with them, as like for example, also uses of forensics locations with them, involved with racketeering through time with the killers associated with that Witness Protection Program. There's a also with the courts that had roles with that then and now. Further with this forensics locations, further with their evidence racketeering with them, further with Sandy Hook, other Connecticut prisons, people on and off the state prison offices, like Cuddy family, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with the Cololo family, with my town's police chief, and with FBI, and with their federal criminal co-defendants and other Weathersfield Police, Intercity Police, with racketeering with the principal sex offenders campus, other campuses in town connected, houses next to them connected to them, all the same house, with the extended family members like a Phil Cololo, like a Subby Scalora, and like a Claudia Scalora, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated also further involved with interstates racketeering acts, uses of the World Trade Center attack locations, leading up to it in the context of the attack and since. Now, these are people involved with this racketeering where they're preventing evidences. Their uses of lawyers criminally, all ways, including the judges, including the prosecutors, including their roles with racketeering with wire crime methods, where they lie about what is actually recorded over wires. They do that with the lawyers too. Now they also have sequence racketeering in relationship to the racketeering method of criminal readings of statutes, which we have recorded also. So this whole congressional thing is recorded, having effectively having been used and being used to hide their criminally foreign influenced fact treatments in all kinds of cases every day. In many prey boxings. These are not means. You look real hard at what is people stacked in New York City. You look real hard at those fake people trying to pretend to be about integrity as New York City law, forcing it further and further to say nothing else other hurt them. They don't care if they're president. President's going to come up, states, all locations, areas, and states, and sciences, all databases, relationships, originally and still, all misprision and racketeering in natures, all criminally foreign influence, delusions, raw human fact treatment nature, sequence racketeering nature, relationship to each identity, the ground, locations, ages of correlation natures, needs and means by free speech and by integrity of correlation nature actually our means. That's when they say food desert. With the show, we don't have a lot of stores around because of the area. They're blaming on other things, others themselves. This breach their roles, self-valued simultaneously when they're doing that. This original, still progressed breaching method. If you can't afford vegetables, if the people can't afford it because you can't afford to think, then go out and you give them the vegetables. See, they want to keep pretending they have freedom of industries, freedom of competition. There's no freedom of competition. You respond for Central Connecticut State University. You respond for Trinity College. Recorded, confessed, and demonstrated being coached, having been coached from off campuses. This is right through the military. This is military racketeering too. This is right through administrations. This is uses of color where it's so simple they don't let us use it though. Their physical delusions every time they make opinions about what color was about with the laws. Every time they make opinions about what our founders' relationships to slavery was. That was entrenched here since before they were born. Everyone was a fact treatment nature slave. If they found out who was behind what James Madison put forward with them, really, they would have killed everyone, including George Washington. They had to all pretend they came together and were fighting for a new nation for reasons other than they were, only to get to this level with still fake integrity. You can have all the power and the might in the world as you want as a military. Notice these other sick nations have it too. Until you can have all the modern nations united. If it's still not by this system, nature's going to continue to demonstrate negative value nature progressions, acts, and natures. Acts like predicate acts. natures like criminal and serious natures, wrongdoers, mass wrongdoing. That's who we have. So they've been using people on Facebook to lie about everything I say since the Trade Center attack, since before the Trade Center attack. That involved, even before I was on Facebook, they were involved with database racketeering, sequence shifts, telling people to pretend passions and emotions, influencing them to from that as strangers too for the sequence shifts. Because then they have people pretending passions and emotions to imply they've been the other people had been in locations and in communications with those people before we had, and even when we hadn't had it at all. So they stack names. You know how many people work for the interbranch judges and prosecutors that they used? Just the dozens of names from the Britain Superior Court. I don't even know all the names. They forging and switching names consciously, criminally, knowing that. These are people in crimes with their prisons, and doctors, foreign and domestic, with child sex offenders, racketeering with them, delusions raw, originally and still. Logic racketeering. Delusions raw. So respond for Connecticut interbranch and for them forging names and switching names with doctors, fake conversations with me like this Leahy family. Dozens associated with them with New Britain Superior Court. Just with their one family. So get response from me now, because these are people further with Anthony Yagman, further with the Joshua Julian, further with the Pandolf family, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated racketeering with judges and with police forms and with medical racketeering with people around the area of the Samuel Dix house and next to the schools. Note that's right next to the middle school and the high school. And on the other side of the Wintergreen Woods, on the western side of the high school, there's also a grammar school tucked in there that's also been involved with them with racketeering through time. They also have those racketeering acts uses of the databases at the campuses recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, and involved with how they exploit that simultaneously translated to roles with evidences racketeering, where they have each age of fact, tribute nature on and off campuses pretending illusions. Then pretend, while more and more they're going to have to pretend to be about truth tellers. They're going to pretend to be about integrity. See, we have this natures of child abuses with adult leaders associated with this Leahy family through time, attaching me to fake locations, attaching other kids to fake locations. Their roles with racketeering uses of people that were in my algebra class, like the two Domain brothers, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, also involved with the two Mendez police and others on and off Fox Connecticut News, on and off the buildings next to them, involved with all kinds of database racketeering with child sex offenders, where they have their evidence racketeering with them, news racketeering acts. They're already invested to so much evil. The same people every day on, oh, we're a news group, we're a family. They're just stacking names against strangers. They have wire crimes with Fox Connecticut News. They have mail crimes with Fox Connecticut News, with judges, with former director of the FBI, whole bunch of federal criminal code defendants of his, other FBI. Their family members, people with the Department of Transportation, people with the Department of Motor Vehicles, people next to the houses of those families, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, involved with identity thefts, frauds, evidence racketeering, drugs crimes, all kinds of racketeering with that on and off Central Connecticut State University. People from my town I never had anything to do with. All exceptions, maybe they took a picture of me walking by someone for a second, they walk by me. They know where you're going to be. They have downtown Hartford, the clubs, since before I was 21 years old, when I was a kid. They already had those places involved with a whole bunch of people tied to a Violet family and tied to the house /S in my area, further involved with the two Proven sex offenders' families further involved then and now with more recorded racketeering then and now with the principal sex offenders campus, with the policing of that campus. Like these two men displaced. Racketeering acts rolls on off the Wethersfield Police Department. Racketeering acts rolls on off the New Britain Superior Court with them. Thousands of people involved with Mendez Police racketeering. Dozens of also on off Fox Connecticut News racketeering with them. As the people, I've never seen them outside of WFSB, but they're also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated racketeering with agencies and with foreign and domestic and military on off their location. There's a guy named Joe tied to I don't know his last name, tied to tied to the Oliveri family, and tied to some military police racketeering acts cliques and their family members that are also involved with the corners of Griswold Street, with fire departments, involved with them with wire crime, mail crimes, crimes with them with Russians, also with the Hartford Hospital campus. Recorded, confessed, and demonstrated a whole bunch of various natures of courts associated with the Leahy family, sequence shifts with them, forging names, switching names, drug crimes with them, with kids, roles with untimely deaths on and off campus with them. As the people, a whole bunch of people, prosecutors, very nice natures of courts, judges, retired and standing, involved with racketeering with them. They're stacking these acts and preventing me. If you call up WFSB, you guys attach me to fake words. Please fix the fake news. They're going to put you on hold. They're never going to call you back. They're going to stack more racketeering acts with that. They have a whole family of lawyers called the Trantolo and Trantolo, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved with racketeering, where they make up conspiracy theories and they have no real evidences. And they have their sequence racketeering where they keep speaking anyway, when the actually recorded sequence racketeering show them with evidence racketeering, as they're doing right here with Schiff. He's pretending that guy with the Marines, that's Ukraine, Russian, involved with them, is telling the truth and could only be telling the truth. There are other Marines with them, the other Air Force, like a Paul Kelly, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated, also involved with racketeering with the houses in my area, further involved with crimes with kids, with drugs with kids, medical racketeering, and with people intercities involved on off Trinity College, on off CCSU, racketeering uses of those locations from off them. They have the sense and sensibilities of deans used by racketeering associated with the lawyer of former director of the FBI too, Robert Luskin's lawyer, Robert Chevery. Now he had co-defendants that had kids in my grade that are also recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved through time with racketeering with my town's police chief's daughter and with his extended family member, further then and now with the principal sex offenders campus, proven anyway off campus. Now, they hid what was recorded and confessed when untimely deaths connected brought confessions up to that about that with my new and past neighbors. Try to call the campuses, they lie about what is actually recorded. That's why it's so important to counter that. They did that before this what is his name? What are their names? I forgot. The lawyers. They have lawyers I never met involved with wire racketeering with them, making conspiracy theories, pretending people make conspiracy theories. Real fast conversations too. They're lying about what is that. They're pretending people are making overall allegations. Oh, we didn't understand them. They understood me. Fix your sequence shifts, Trantolo and Trantolo. Also recorded, confessed with a whole bunch of people with CNN involved with racketeering right through administrations. They're hiding those racketeering acts. They're hiding from mandated law. They are preventing mandated law. That's worse than just extortion. That's worse than quid pro quo. That's worse than just torture. We're going to examine their uses of that location of Foxct Connecticut News and of WFSB. Recorded, confessed, and demonstrated involved them worse than just torture with their wire crime methods. Everyone playing stupid. Now let's get a response too, because they have lawyers originally still with the bar itself exploited that way, pretending they had integrity when they never had it originally instilled. Your delusion's raw. Watch. You move now. You respond to my mandated law right here. Respond! And then pick one name in sequence into branch now! And make opinion about my behavior so I can show you how you sequence shift. That's evidence. That's evidence. They also attach me to fake yelling. So this is evidence. I'm going to show you how to perceive evidence.